Hey, welcome to the Takhar podcast, episode 264, the number one sales podcast for real estate professionals learning to do more deals and build a business around their life and not the other way around. My executive producer, which I think I gave you that title right now, Bobo. That's your new title when we're doing the JTP stuff that we do, Takhar podcast. He's actually going to be making a little bit of an appearance. Not his face. He's not ready for it, he says, but he has a fresh fade. However, he's going to be asking me some questions that we've been getting from text messages. We've been getting from emails and DMs and private messages. Our questions, as you're going to notice today, kind of come from all different scopes in terms of the business, real estate agents and mortgage brokers. It comes from, look, I'm just starting in the business. I've been in the business for 20 years. I want to scale from the perspective of doing more deals. Sometimes it's just having some more time off. How do I build a team, Jazz? How do I get my first executive assistant? Who is the first team member? How do I recruit agents? How do I lead agents? I have a feeling, though, that you'll notice a pattern. Most of the time, the questions surround, how do I get more business? How do I do more deals? How do I make more money? Now, if you haven't yet heard some of those past episodes, I urge you to do that because every situation's a little different. Every market is a little different. We get calls right across the country, and you got to know that you're going to start to notice that depending on which market you're in, things have changed at the time of this recording, which is fall of 2024, where the phones are not ringing as much as they were maybe a year and a half, 2.5 years ago. The emails are not dinging as much. You're not getting that inbound call saying, come list me. Hey, I'm ready to buy. I'm ready to list. Now, you always have a choice. You can sit and wait and decide that you're going to take some time off and recharge and relax. I don't think there is anything wrong with that. But I have a funny feeling if you're listening to this podcast, you watch my content on all the social media platforms, that you're probably someone who wants more. You don't want to put your feet up right now. You don't want to be reactive. You want to be someone who is actually taking advantage of the opportunity that lies outside right now. What do I mean by that? Well, if you think about it, a lot of people have left the business. I mean, here in the Toronto Real Estate Board, we have seen a decline in people renewing their real estate license. It's just how the cookie crumbles. When people are not making any type of money, well, then they got to find other ways to earn some income. So what are they doing? Well, they're getting out of the business. There's still people who are licensed and registered, but they're not being proactive. You know, a simple way that I always tell what's going on in the real estate market from a sales perspective is there a lot of people spending money on Google AdWords and Facebook marketing and Instagram ads? The answer is no. Well, that's an opportunity. Why? Because, see, when the market's really busy, more people start running ads, and then the cost of those ads increase. The platforms are not stupid, Google's and the Metas of the world. They're going to start charging more when there's more demand. But when there's less demand, you can start picking up leads as low as $2, $3 a lead. I mean, I just ran an ad for a video I did on Instagram. I picked up approximately 180 leads. I ran a quick little test. It was only for about 7 days. I got the lead down to 63 cents. 63 cents per lead. That could never have happened 2 years ago. I mean, it would have been upwards of $8 to $12, right? So that's an opportunity. Another opportunity is that because people are not as active in terms of going out for business, real estate professionals, well, the public is getting less flyers in the mail. They're getting less phone calls. They're getting less invites to events because of the sheer fact that the agents are just not reaching out as much. So that is an opportunity that you can take advantage of. So when the market does slow down, if you're somebody who wants more, it's quite simple, guys. All you got to do is start to do something. Start taking some type of action now. Set up some educational events. Make sure you start reaching out to people in your phone list. probably noticed that there's less videos on social media where people are giving tips on the 3 best ways to sell your home or how to build out a real estate portfolio. Well, that again is another opportunity. Why don't we just jump into rapid fire and the questions that we got through emails and text messages and all that stuff, Bobo?
Okay, we have a long list of questions.
All right, go rapid fire.
All right. So the first question is, how do I overcome the fear of rejection when making cold calls? I often hesitate to reach out to new prospects. This is a question from Marcus.
Look, Marcus, I think first and foremost, the mindset around rejection is something that I urge you to change. And what I mean by that is that it really is a false narrative in your own head that you have around rejection, that your life got worse, right? So let me explain. If you're making a cold call and the person does not want to talk to you, and if or they didn't pick up, if you think about it, your life didn't get any worse because you never had a client, you never had someone who said yes to you in particular with that call. And so your life didn't actually get worse. Now, on the flip side, a lot of positive can come out of that. Somebody could pick up the phone. You could get connected with somebody on the other end of the phone. They could be receptive to whatever you're trying to pitch on the call. Now, there's actual skills and tactics that will definitely help you. But if it's a fear of rejection, to me, that's all of that is the 6 inches between your ears. It's the mindset around you being fearful about actually making the phone call. And so what always helped me early on in my sales career is understanding that, hey, man, like, you know what? My life didn't get any worse, right? And then I've used this analogy before. When I was in high school and I wanted to go on a date and I asked a girl and I got no's. I know that's hard to believe. But when I got no's, I didn't have the date anyways. So when you start to realize that, and the way to realize that, unfortunately, you have to have experience, and the way to build experience, build confidence is through experience. So you have to put in the reps. You gotta ask. You gotta make calls. But once you realize that your life didn't get worse, then on the flip side, it's like, oh my God, then the girl did say yes. Okay, cool. I probably had to ask a few before one said yes. You're gonna have to make hundreds of phone calls. If it's cold calling, if you use, like the word in the question was cold calling, you're probably going to have to make a couple of hundred because they don't know you, they don't like you, or they don't trust you. It's why I spend majority of my lead generation when I'm calling people into what I call warm calling. It's people that already know me. They probably like me. It's why we have their contact info. I just have to now try to get them to trust me, and that happens over time. But when you're making warm calls, you're not going to have to call hundreds of people before they say yes to an appointment, coming to your event, maybe following you on social media. You're going to notice that it's probably 6 or 7 phone calls that you'll have to make. So to get over the fear of rejection, right? You know, I don't want to just cop out and say, oh, just start doing it, and you're gonna, like, no. There is the mindset around understanding that there's a false narrative around rejection that you're having, that your life actually got worse. Once you realize your life didn't get any worse, I know it didn't change, like you didn't get better because if they rejected you, but it didn't get worse. What's next, Bobo?
All right, we got a question from an unknown person. He's saying he's a 25-year-old new agent, and he's often struggling with differentiating his services without having to slash his prices. Usually clients ask him to slash his prices, comparing other agents who have lower commission rates. How can he differentiate his services without having to make that compromise?
Well, look, I mean, first, I'm glad that the way that he worded the question is so that he doesn't have to compromise, because this is a mindset thing. I mean, again, you have to make the decision that you're going to be somebody who's not going to be a discounted broker. And there's nothing against discounted brokers. I mean, they make a lot of money too because they base a lot of their numbers on volume. So different business model. But if you're someone like yourself who's asking the question right now, who's saying, like, I don't want to, well, what I would do is just bring up the objection at the start. I have a funny feeling you're going into appointments, listing appointments, buyer consultations with the thought process that, okay, when's it going to happen? When they're going to ask me to reduce my commission? And then you're not really focused on uncovering the actual need or the want of the prospect. You're spending more time on the worry of the when they ask you the question. I would bring it up right away. Like I'm a full service broker. If you're a team, and what we provide in our full service is X, Y, and Z. Well, if the prospect says, well, the person down the street is going to is charging me less. No, I completely understand that. I mean, there's Ferraris and Lamborghinis, and then there's, Hondas and Hyundais. Hondas and Hyundais are not bad cars. It's just there's a reason for that. And so if you're looking for our full service, this is what's included. Now, what you should think about, and something that we've done in my company for a very long time in my organization at REC Canada, is you can offer different packages, right? It could be a full commission of 6% full service. And yes, you can charge people 6%. There's a lot of realtors in every market that still get 6%. Because of the value they're providing in that package. You can offer 5 and you can offer 4 or 4.5 or 3, whatever it is in terms of total commission, but you're going to give the client less service. So when the client says, well, they're charging me less, say, look, I'm not sure where the agent is making up the money or if they're okay not to make up the money, but here's what we offer. Here's the different packages. And so if you're looking for our full service, but to get it at a discounted rate, I'm going to have to take out some of the services within that package. And so you got to explain it, and then highly recommend that you show it to them on paper. You show them, here's my bronze, silver, gold package, and then I have my platinum package. And you show everything that's listed. Just say, no problem, Mr. and Mrs. Client. What didn't you want? And they're going to say, well, I don't need the staging, for example, in your platinum package at 6%. Well, I can tell you that in this market, if you truly believe this, in this market, staging is something that I highly recommend that you get because we don't have as many buyers looking. And so we want to make sure that your properties, it shows well. But if you want it out, no problem. It's going to be, this is the package. Now you show them the gold. So you got to make sure that you actually present, not only tell people, present it through a visual. Bo?
Okay, the next question is from an Aisha. She works in a tech sales company, and her question is, how can I handle prospects who say they're interested, but always ghost me after the demo?
Yeah. I like this question because there's a lot of videos around what to do when you get ghosted. And ghost, for anybody who doesn't know what that means, I mean, it's you call somebody, they set up an appointment for Thursday at 6 and they don't show up. At the end of the day, I like to book as many appointments as possible. I already know that, say, about 50% of people are going to show up. I'm obviously trying to get that to 100. I'm going to be really happy when I get it to 75%. But let's just say 50% in the real estate business. So tech sales, it might be slightly different. It might be a little less. It might be a little bit more. But what you want to do is set up yourself for success. Meaning, when you set up the appointment for Thursday at 6, it could be a week before, it could be the day before. Try to do it as close as possible to when you book the appointment. Meaning today being Thursday and you have an appointment, where you're setting up an appointment. If you set it up for 3 weeks from now, everyone kind of forgets, right? In fact, I went to the dentist yesterday to do my cleaning and they set me up for my next appointment sometime in January. Now we're sitting here in September. Like, I'm not going to remember this. It will go in my calendar, but I'm going to book other things possibly around it. So what you want to do is you want to reduce the time from booking the appointment to actually when the appointment is. If you could wave a magic wand, and if I could wave that magic wand for you, I would want it to be no more than 2 weeks. Best case scenario, the next day. Okay? Why? Because it's going to be fresh in their mind, especially based on the question. They're saying they're interested. If it's, they're lying to you or not, I don't know. But if you're feeling like they're interested, then you want to close for that next appointment as soon as possible. What you could do in between, okay? And you're just going to try to stack the cards in your favor to having someone actually show up. Send them an email reminder. In fact, in the email reminder, there's ways that you can actually have a button that says add to calendar. You can send them actually a calendar invite, which automatically, once they say yes, it goes into their calendar. And then Google Calendar, Apple Calendar, whatever software they're using will send generally a reminder on their own. Now, don't just rely on that. I want you to send more reminders. I want you to send an email confirmation the second that it gets booked. At least it's in their inbox now. Then 24 hours before, send another email reminder, something simple. Hey, Aisha, just confirming our appointment tomorrow at 2 p.m. Here's the Google Meet link. Here's the location that we'll be meeting. I look forward to meeting you. Then I would send a text message the day of. Same type of tone. Looking forward to seeing you later on today, Aisha, at 2 p.m. Again, here's the location details. If you have any questions, just let me know. Now, are you going to bat 1,000? No, it just doesn't work like that. You got to be prepared that people are going to ghost you at times. And now when the person doesn't show up, I send an email. Hey, I'm not sure if it got missed, but we weren't able, I didn't see you on the Zoom. I didn't see you on the Google Meet. What I do, though, is I pick up the phone. I pick up the phone and I call them. Now, if you pick up, you send an email, you call them. You could also text them after that phone call. If they don't reach back out to you, they're not really that interested. And that's okay. They're in the bucket of some won't. And then that just, in my head, is so what? The first part of what I always say, which is some will, some won't, so what? You just got to look for more some wills. And so you got to have the strategy in mind, which is principles of plenty. If you book more appointments, if the numbers are 50%, you know that all you got to do is book more appointments to have more people show up. Well,
Okay, we have a question about real estate now. Jason is asking, what's your strategy for managing clients' expectations in a market where properties are moving fast? Not sure what that means.
well, no, I understand what that means. They're saying that if properties are moving fast from a buyer's perspective, they don't have as much time to necessarily sit around and look for a property. And so the best way for me, I don't even want to try to meet clients' expectations, because meeting them is just like that's the bare minimum. And so what you want to do is exceed clients' expectations. And the way to do that is to ask them. And the way, when you do that, is at the earliest possible time that you can through a consultation or in the consultation. And it's simple. I'm going to say, Bo, I just so I can make sure that I understand what you're looking for. What are your expectations with this process? And they're going to tell you. And here's the best thing. If you took notes, they're going to say, I want a property. If it's in real estate, that's under market value. I want to do it in the next 6 months. I don't want to be pushed or manipulated by a salesperson. I'm wanting to make sure that if I need a lawyer or a mortgage broker or an insurance broker or a landscaper, you have all those people, or the person that I'm dealing with has everyone. Here's the best thing. You took those notes. You now know what their expectations are. Exceed them. Because when you exceed people's expectations, you'll start to hear a beautiful word in sales. When the prospect or the client starts to say, wow, oh my God, I didn't expect that. I didn't expect you to go pick up the keys at closing for me in the middle of rush hour. I thought I had to do that on moving day. Oh my God, I didn't expect the champagne and the pizza on moving day and the 2 for a beer for my friends and family. I didn't expect that. They start to say, wow, which makes it a memorable experience for them. And that's when they start to tell their friends and family. So how do you meet expectations? You ask what the person's expectations are. I take it one step further. I tell them what my expectations are as well. My expectations are that when I call you, you pick up. When we set an appointment, you're there. And if I do a good job all at the end of this, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect, I do expect you to set me up on some blind dates and tell your friends and family and coworkers and neighbors about me, but only if you think I did a great job. Okay, so not only am I trying to meet their expectations, but I want them to meet my expectations as well. Bo.
Okay, this next question is from Priya. And the question is, what's the most effective way to handle clients who always say, I need more time to think about it?
Yeah, look, I think the question you can always ask when someone says, I need more time to think about it, I completely understand that, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect. Just so I know what I might be able to help with in that time that you're thinking about it, what is it exactly that you need to think about? and then let them speak. You gotta be able to ask the open-ended questions. Excuse me. What is it that you need to think about? Because I might be able to give you some more information now or in the next 24 hours, in the next day or two, and then let them think about it. You're not going to be able to manipulate and push everyone to buy right when you want them to buy, especially high ticket items, right? Cars, real estate, boats, coaching, sir, all these stuff that are high ticket items. You got to remember, it's a big purchase people are making. It's not your money. I know you want the commission. I know you want the fee, the service fee. But you got to be okay to give people time. And so to actually service people, though, you have to ask what it is that they need time to think about. It's not saying, oh, no, do you need to make a decision right now? You know that's not going to work. They're going to feel pushed. And then they're going to start thinking you're a sleazy salesperson. So asking them, my question to them is always like, my response, to them is, yeah, I completely understand that. Just so I understand what it is that I might be able to help with. What do you need the time to think about? Is it the financing? Is it the location, right? You know, we're talking real estate right now. It could be anything, right? Like, is it the type of car? Is it the monthly payment? And then they're going to tell you. And then whatever it is, if you can give them the information on the spot, give them the information. It starts to close the gap. You need to find out exactly what it is that they're thinking about, because that in itself is the objection for them to take action, right? Because when they say, it's the financing. Okay, great. I completely understand that. Let's sit down and let me work out the payments for you. Let's go bring in the mortgage advisor, and let's just make sure that this is something that you're comfortable with. And if you're not, great. Look, we can wait. And if you are, great. We'll move to the next step. Next one, Bo.
Okay, this next question is from May. It's a two-part. It has two parts in it.
Did you say this question's from May or me?
May.
May. Okay, sorry, go.
Okay. Do you want me to read both questions out?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. So the first question is, I'm currently in the process of getting my real estate license. How can I set myself up for success for when I start? And the second part of the question is, while I'm in the process of getting my real estate license, I'm working in a retail store. How do I turn a walk-in customer into a loyal client when they're just browsing?
Yeah, so I'll start with the second one first. I've worked in retail my whole life before I got into, you can still say, car sales and real estate is retail, a little different because people are not walking into my office in real estate just automatically and saying, oh, can somebody help me buy a place? But in any of the retail stores, I always say that I'm just looking. I say that when I walk into a store, even half the time when I actually need the size 9.5 or the shirt. I know exactly what I want. There's times I'm still like, because we're just hardwired as humans to take the path of least resistance. And when somebody says, do you need help with anything? We say no right away. It's because we don't want to be pushed, right? How did I deal with it? And here's how I would suggest that you deal with it, is that let people know right off the bat. Don't even ask them, did you need help with something? Because 99% of them are going to say, no, I'm just looking, right? So what I would say is, I want you to understand, Mr. and Mrs. Person who just walked into the store, I'm here whenever you're ready. And this is what I said, like in a car showroom, guys, okay? Luxurious kind of showroom as well. I was like, whenever you're ready, throw a signal at me. Throw something at me. It doesn't really matter. And that would usually make them chuckle and smile. Because I didn't say, did you need any help? Did you need anything from me? I already knew the objection. So it's like what I said earlier, bring the objection up front. I said, whenever you're ready, just signal me. My name is Jazz. You can yell it across the showroom, but I understand if you're not comfortable doing that. Throw something at me. Get my attention. I'm here. Take your time. You could be here for the next 7 hours. And what that did is that started to put people's guards down. Did every person say, okay, I'm ready right now? No, they're like, oh, thank you. Thank you. Because I knew what happened when they walked into other car showrooms. Right? I also know how the thought process is of most people walking into a showroom. It's quite intimidating, especially in a more of an upscale car showroom. It's quite intimidating for people, right? Because of the old stories about car salesmen. And so the bar for me was always set quite low in retail sales, right across I worked in shoe sales for 3 years. Same thing. Hey, whenever you're ready, I'm just right. I'm right here. Just let me know. Take your time. And then I didn't hover around them. That's another thing I should add really quickly. I never hovered around the person, because that's like when you say what I just said, like whenever you're ready, get my attention, and then you hover around, you're still kind of being that person, right? That's like trying to pounce on them. I literally just kind of made sure, like if they walked towards where I was, unless we made eye contact and they're like, okay, I do need that size 9 shoes, I would kind of walk away from them. I wanted them to get comfortable in the setting as quickly as possible, which helps them bring their guard down, which inevitably builds rapport, and then they feel comfortable. And then that's how you can now start to give them a memorable experience, for them to say, wow, for them to tell other people. The first part of your question in terms of getting your real estate license and setting yourself up for success, I know you have a retail job that you mentioned, so you might not have a lot of time to do this, but I think you can carve out an hour a week for sure, if not a little bit longer than that. What I would do is get into a real estate office as quickly as possible and work for free. Find the top agent in that office and then work your way down. And then you might have to find another office and tell that person, say, look, I like full transparency, Mr. or Mrs. Agent, top agent. I'm getting my real estate license and I just want to learn. I don't want to get paid. I will go get you your coffees. I will go to the printer and grab everything from the printer and put up. And then when they say yes, and tell them, sorry, I don't want to get paid for this. I'm just hoping to possibly hear some stuff that you're doing. And maybe if you can take me out on an appointment, I can even throw up your lockbox on the property. Why? Because if you can't build your table, I want you to get to a table where the conversations are happening that are going to help your success, right? So right now, you can't build your own table. You're getting your real estate license. And when I say table, I'm talking about building a business and having success in it. So get to the table where the conversations are being had, because you will learn through osmosis. And the only way to do that at the start, because you don't really bring a lot of value, I'm sorry to say, you're just in the process of getting your license, is go work for free. Any top team, any top agent, they would love for you to help them grab coffees for their clients when they come in. And then make sure that you do a very good job at it. And then here's, as a mentee, someone who wants to be mentored, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. I need you to listen, not even twice as much as you talk. You should be doing very little talking, maybe asking some questions. That's it. But I want you to be listening 10 times more than you talk. Why? Because you're getting free education, on-the-job training. Yeah, you might think, but I'm doing it for free. Yes, until you bring more value to the table, you're worth free. So what you need to do at the start is just get comfortable with asking somebody. That's going to be the toughest thing, right? It's going to be, you need to ask people, because 3 of them might say no at the start. Oh, I don't have the time, man. I don't even have the space to have you. You might hear that stuff, but you just keep going and you'll find someone. Let's take one more for the day, Bobo.
Okay, this next question is from an insurance salesperson. I didn't provide his name, but his question is, what's the most effective way to explain the value of insurance to someone who feels they don't need it?
Yeah, look, I think more than trying to tell people the value, I would show them the value. Show them other people who didn't have insurance. Maybe, I'm sure you have stories, depending on what insurance you're selling, and without obviously divulging people's information, but show people what happened when the person didn't have insurance. On the flip side, show them people that had insurance. I mean, just telling people nowadays is just, unfortunately, it's not good enough, because we've become kind of a society now that is numb to testimonials and infomercials and people just trying to sell us stuff. You know, we get approximately 10,000 marketing messages a day. Like, let me just say that again. We get approximately 10,000 marketing messages a day. Our brain has gotten very, very effective in filtering all those out. And so what I would highly advise that you do is start to show people the value, right? And you could do that right up front in your first consultation. What I decided to do about 5 years ago is just put it out in content. So what I did is just tell people stories. It's how this kind of podcast originated, where we decided we're just going to sit down with people who are investing into real estate, not them saying, and like I would even tell them before we started the recording, and anybody who's done this with me, they know. I would say, do me a favor, like you don't need to mention my name. You don't need to mention my company. I don't want to make this into an infomercial. It's not a testimonial video. It's documenting your story in what real estate investing did for you. And so in insurance, I would just sit down with all the people that you've done policies with, sit down with other people in the industry, and don't go all salesy. Just bring the value through education, right? Like value is a big word that gets thrown around in business nowadays. I like to make sure that we actually understand on ways of doing it. And so one very easy way to do it in the insurance industry is to just educate people. Like I can tell you from my perspective, I'm not an idiot. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I'm definitely not an idiot. Like I don't really understand a lot of the insurance stuff. Like, do I need this? And how do I protect myself for the future? And how do I protect my family and all that kind of stuff, right? Why don't you just put that out in videos without doing the, okay, and call me. Just give me the education. I'll figure out that you're an insurance agent and then I'm going to hit you up. Like, it's exactly what happened for me. I very rarely said at the end of my videos, call me. You guys see it now. Like, what? Go to my Instagram profile, go to my TikTok, go to my YouTube, and see how many times I say, call me for my coaching services, call me to buy, sell, or invest. I just keep giving away all the information, and I know the people end up finding me. So that was today's episode. Bobo, really appreciate your time. You have a really nice voice, by the way, brother. I got the headsets on so I can really hear it. You guys let me know what you thought of Bo's voice. If you didn't like it, we'll never have him on again. Have the best week ever. I look forward to seeing you for episode 265.